For every loved DCEU actor, there is one who is hated by everyone, starting with Ezra Miller as The Flash. Back in 2016, fans were cautiously optimistic. Ezra Miller had a cool, outsider energy, nervous energy, snappy dialogue. Sure, it was a different take on Barry Allen, but some people saw the vision, especially in the Zack Snyder cut, where Ezra had a deeper arc and even reversed time in one of the movie's biggest moments. But while fans debated The Flash's awkward humor, something else was brewing, and it had nothing to do with acting. In 2020, footage surfaced of Ezra choking a woman outside a bar in Iceland. No charges were filed, but the video went viral, and fans were stunned. That was just the beginning. In 2022, Miller was arrested multiple times in Hawaii, one for disorderly conduct, another for throwing a chair and injuring a woman. Then came the accusations of grooming and controlling behavior from multiple families, stories that got worse the deeper you looked. A burglary charge, restraining orders. Suddenly, nobody cared about Barry Allen, everyone just wanted Ezra gone. Warner Brothers was stuck. They had already poured over $200 million into The Flash. Test audiences said the movie was decent, but their lead actor was unmarketable, too toxic for press tours, too unpredictable for interviews. So DC tried to thread the needle, they let the movie come out, but Ezra was completely absent from promotion. No Comic-Con, no late-night talk shows, nothing. Despite all the cameos, the CGI multiverse, the Michael Keaton hype, The Flash bombed. It made just $271 million worldwide, barely above budget, and far from the billion-dollar expectations DC had hoped for. Critics pointed to the messy script, fans blamed the disturbing visual effects, but the internet blamed Ezra. People didn't want to support someone accused of violent, manipulative behavior, no matter how flashy the action scenes were. Some even said WB should have scrapped the whole thing the way they did with Batgirl. While Ezra became one of the most hated actors in the DC universe, our next actor is the complete opposite. Henry Cavill didn't need a dozen cameos. He didn't need the multiverse or flashy dialogue or crossover hype. He just stood there, cape blowing, eyes locked on the camera, and everyone knew this was Superman. From the very start, Henry looked like he stepped out of a comic panel. The building, the jawline, the intensity, the presence. He wasn't trying to be a Boy Scout or a meme. He played Clark Kent like a man torn between who he was and who the world needed him to be, and fans connected with that. Even when the movies around him were controversial, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League, one thing stayed consistent: Henry never missed. He delivered every scene with power, restraint, and vulnerability. Whether he was flying through the sky or quietly holding back tears, you believed him. But the studio? They didn't. Henry got strung along for years, a faceless cameo in Shazam, a post-credit tease in Black Adam. Then finally, a full announcement: the cape is still mine. And right after that, James Gunn pulls the plug. No sequel, no closure, just silence. But instead of lashing out, he did what real heroes do. He thanked the fans, wished DC the best, and walked away with grace. Because Henry Cavill isn't just a great actor, he's a fan. He plays Warhammer, builds gaming PCs, talks comic lore like he's on Reddit. He's one of us. To this day, edits of Henry as Superman still go viral. People still call him the real Superman, not because of what WB gave him, but because of what he gave us: heart, humanity, hope. He may not be coming back, but his Superman never left us. Henry Cavill is the most loved actor in the DC universe, even when the DC universe didn't deserve him. While Henry Cavill became beloved by doing less and letting the role speak for itself, Jared Leto went in the complete opposite direction and paid the price for it. When Leto was first cast as the Joker in Suicide Squad, some fans were open-minded. He had just won an Oscar. He was coming off Dallas Buyers Club. The potential was there. But the second we saw the promo photo, green slicked back hair, chrome teeth, and a giant damaged tattoo on his forehead, people knew something was off. And then the stories started leaking. To get into character, Leto reportedly sent used condoms and a dead rat to his co-stars. He mailed bullets, left creepy notes, sent weird gifts no one asked for. He even admitted to staying in character 24/7, like he was Joker in real life. But instead of sounding dedicated, it sounded off. Even his own castmates seemed uncomfortable, and fans weren't impressed. It didn't come off as genius, it came off as try-hard. Warner Brothers hyped Leto like crazy in trailers. You'd think he was the film's main villain. But when Suicide Squad finally dropped, he had less than 10 minutes of screen time. Most of his scenes were cut. His impact on the plot was almost zero. He was there to look flashy and say awkward one-liners, not to actually push the story forward. And fans noticed. They didn't walk out of the theater talking about how dark or intense Leto's Joker was. They laughed, they cringed, they moved on. Reddit roasted him. Twitter memed him into oblivion. Even fans who defended Snyder's vision had one common complaint. Even Warner Brothers quietly walked away from the Leto version without ever officially firing him. After the disaster that was Jared Leto's Joker, DC desperately needed a win, and thankfully, they got one. Because right beside him was Margot Robbie, stealing every scene, carrying every frame, and instantly becoming a fan favorite. From the moment she walked into Suicide Squad as Harley Quinn, colorful, chaotic, and completely unpredictable, people knew she was born for this role. Most actors need time to grow into a comic book character, but Margot Robbie, she snapped into it on day one. Fans often call Harley Quinn the most authentic DC character on screen. Margot nailed the psychology, driven by love, chaos, and an unforgettable sense of humor. She's the doctor turned villain who refuses to be a cliche. And yes, she built the stunts herself, 6 months of training just to pull off the physicality Harley demands. Not only did Suicide Squad rake in over $746 million worldwide, but critics singled her out as one of the only bright sparks. She won People's Choice Awards, Critics' Choice, and she carried 2 standalone films that reshaped how female heroes were seen in the genre. DC might have stumbled, but Harley Quinn soared. Despite the fame, Margot never got lost in the madness. She remains engaged with DC's animated Harley Quinn series, shows support for Lady Gaga's future take, and always talks about Harley like an owner protecting her property. She's classy, cute, and in charge. Even though the new DCU won't reuse her version, Robbie's Harley isn't forgotten. She created the blueprint for a chaotic female anti-hero who's as human as she is explosive. That voice, that spirit, and that echo, fans will carry it forward. Her incarnation wasn't just loved, it was loved to death. While Margot Robbie won fans over with raw talent and consistent performances, our next DC actor lost almost everything without even needing a bad script. Let's talk about Amber Heard and how she became one of the most hated faces in the DC universe. Even before Aquaman 2 hit theaters, fans had turned against Heard. A petition to remove her from the role collected millions of signatures. By the time Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom dropped, online outrage was deafening, far bigger than any box office drama. In court, the defamation battle with Johnny Depp raged on, and Heard lost. She testified that her role was very pared down following the trial. But nagging rumors watered down her presence, led to mass belief that she was cut due to scandal, not script. This fueled even more resentment. Director James Wan insisted her smaller role was always planned, a Hero Light sequel focusing on Aquaman's bromance with Orm. The producers claimed chemistry issues, not controversy, were the reason. But fans saw a different story. Amber Heard's image had become toxic, and no official spin could clean it up. Critics noted that many of Heard's scenes felt sloppily tacked in, as if studios were trying to cover tracks. Dolph Lundgren, cast as King Nereus, said earlier versions had more Mera, but they reshoot and rebuild sidelined her voice. This wasn't a performance debate, it was a reputation collapse. Heard had the red hair and royal vibe, sure, but fans were convinced she embodied PR weight, not character weight. She didn't just miss the mark, she blew past it. After all the backlash surrounding Amber Heard, it's wild that the same movie had one of DC's most loved actors standing right next to her. But that's just the power of Jason Momoa. When Aquaman first appeared in Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, no one expected this. Momoa brought a rugged swagger, a surfer's laid-back energy, and an authenticity that flipped the character's reputation. He didn't just step in, he reshaped the entire perception of Atlantis. Even Jason was stunned. In a candid interview with Men's Health, he confessed he was absolutely baffled by how well Aquaman performed. A billion-dollar hit from a character once ridiculed? The fandom didn't just arrive, they rode the wave Momoa helped create. He didn't just look the part, he felt it. With charm, humor, and sincerity, Momoa captured Aquaman's strength and his heart. He balanced the physicality of a superhero with the emotional depth of a reluctant king. This wasn't just a comic book role, it was a living, breathing hero people wanted to root for. Let's drop the numbers. Aquaman grossed over $1.1 billion worldwide, making it the highest grossing DCEU film ever. Hat wasn't luck. It was Momoa's energy, his voice, and his ability to connect with audiences around the globe. Off-screen, Momoa showed he's not some Hollywood alien. He rescues animals, films docuseries about wildlife, hangs with his kids in nature, and still lives like a normal dad. He's as grounded as his character, and fans respect that too. Aquaman is just the start. As the new DCU evolves, Momoa isn't going anywhere, he's stepping into Lobo, one of DC's most over-the-top anti-heroes. he campaigned for the role. He even texted James Gunn about Lobo. Jason Momoa may have survived the DC collapse with his fanbase intact, but Gal Gadot wasn't so lucky. Gal Gadot claimed the world's admiration when she debuted as Wonder Woman in 2017. But by the release of Wonder Woman 1984, fans weren't cheering, they were complaining. Reviews called her performance wooden, with cringe line delivery and weak emotional beats. Wonder Woman 1984 had promise, but critics trashed it for being smug and tone-deaf. Even when Gadot tried to anchor the film, her acting failed to lift the clunky script, making fans wonder if she was the real problem. At the pandemic's onset, Gadot released a celebrity sing-along of Imagine meant to inspire. Instead, viewers found it pretentious and out of touch. One Redditor called her delusional, while headline writers branded it cringy celebrity virtue signaling. She later admitted it was poorly timed. Her outspoken support for Israel ignited fresh backlash in 2021. Then, in the long-delayed Snow White revival, her casting triggered online boycotts and even security threats. Suddenly, her activism overshadowed any sympathy for her acting. Reviews, memes, and headlines told the same story. Too polished, too shallow, too disconnected from the character's core. One critic even said she slid into the anti-charisma archetype. For a superhero who should feel powerful with emotional weight, Gadot often felt like a statue. Warner Brothers reshaped their universe. Reboots canceled her solo trilogy. James Gunn moved on without her. Her departure felt like a long overdue curtain call. Gal Gadot fizzled out as Wonder Woman. But John Cena, he did the impossible. Took a D-list character no one cared about, and made him one of the most beloved in the entire franchise. Peacemaker went from a joke to a juggernaut. When James Gunn cast Cena as Peacemaker, most people rolled their eyes. A helmet-wearing mercenary who kills in the name of peace. The idea sounded like a joke, but Cena didn't treat it like one. He played it straight, and somehow that made it work. His version of Peacemaker wasn't just funny, it was tragic, broken, complex. That surprised everyone. Then came the Peacemaker series on HBO Max, and that's when Cena shut everyone up. The show wasn't just good, it was great. Sitting at a 93% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, it broke records, exploded online, and gave DC a fresh win when everything else was falling apart. Cena carried the series with emotion, humor, and just enough chaos to make you care. Isn't just admired for what he does on camera. Off-screen, he's known for kindness and respect. When a fan tried filming him without permission, Cena calmly asked them to stop.
What you wearing?
I'm a big fan of consent, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you would like to take a video...
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I apologize.
No yelling, no ego, just class. That clip went viral. Not for drama, but for how respectful it was, and that's rare in Hollywood. While the old DCEU was collapsing, Cena was already locked into the future. James Gunn confirmed Peacemaker Season 2 will be canon in the new DC universe, and fans, they were hyped. Because this isn't just another role, Peacemaker is Cena's, he built it, he earned it, and now he's carrying it forward. No scandals, no drama, just pure effort. Cena showed up, did the work, and delivered. Whether you're a hardcore comic fan or someone new to DC, you probably respect what Cena brought to the table. His Peacemaker isn't flawless, he's real, and that's exactly why fans love him.